We now continue our polling on party trust on the issues. Now we look at energy, immigration, the environment, and government spending. And the numbers on this set are way worse for Democrats than last time. To recap, last week we ran 2 short videos showing that Republicans had a 1-point edge over Democrats on government ethics and corruption, and both parties were at parity on Social Security. But now, 48% of voters trust Republicans to handle the issue of energy, and only 40% trust Democrats. Democrats win with younger voters by 12 points, but they lose by upper double digits among older voters. Here's race. These are the most uniform responses I've ever seen on anything in race. Black voters trust Republicans slightly more than Democrats on the issue of energy. Also, the white voter lead for Republicans is only 4 points more than among black voters. Hispanic and other race voters actually trust Republicans most on this issue. And party, the Republican and Democrat responses are kind of obvious, but Republicans have a 7-point crossover edge. That is significant. Independents give Republicans an incredible 23-point edge, but the other response here is keeping Republicans from getting a majority. But only 27% of independents say they trust Democrats on energy. That's a headline there in and of itself. Next up, immigration. Republicans win by an astounding 17 points. Again, younger voters trust Democrats, 51 to 38%, but the Republican edge among older voters is now almost 30 points. I feel like this dynamic is also something someone should explore. It seems important. Here are the party numbers, and this shows something even more informative. Democrats still say Democrats and Republicans still say Republicans, but the Republican crossover advantage is now up to 24 points from 7 points. That means the Democrat Party immigration stance is a massive turnoff for their voters, 3 times more than their energy stance. The Republican lead among independents is now up from 23 points with energy to an astounding 35 points. Only 21% of independents trust Democrats on immigration. I think it's worth noting that Biden's strongest supporters trust Democrats over Republicans by an 80 to 8-point margin, way more than Democrats in general. Are these people misinformed about immigration under his tenure, or do they like what they see? But let's look at race again. Again, there's incredible unity. Republicans lead by 20 points among white voters, 16 points among Hispanic and other race voters, an astounding 9 points among black voters. Now, environment. Here the parties are tied. Again, this is incredible since climate change is related to the environment, and that's typically an area where Democrats have full and utter dominance. Young voters still give Democrats a huge edge, but the Republican edge among older voters is now down to single digits. Race numbers are also pretty tight, but here's party. Independents now only give Republicans a 9-point edge, but Democrats actually have a 3-point crossover advantage here instead of Republicans. 27 points the opposite way of immigration. And now the last one, government spending. Republicans are back to a massive lead, 15 points, and almost as much as immigration. The youngest voters give Democrats their smallest lead here, and the Republicans' lead among older voters isn't quite as big as immigration. Republicans have a huge lead among white and Hispanic voters, but both parties are at parity with black voters. Again, that's fascinating. A black voter in this poll is equally as likely to say they trust Republicans and Democrats on the issue of government spending. The party numbers are almost identical to immigration. The lead for Republicans among independents is down a few points, but only 19% of independent voters say they trust Democrats most on government spending. Now, this shouldn't be taken as a total vote of confidence for Republicans, because 31% of independents say they aren't sure on this issue, the highest of any of the issues we tested. If the Republicans have such a commanding lead in most of these important issues, how come they lose so much, or perhaps only eke out slight wins? Well, that's too deep of a topic to get into here, but here are some thoughts. There isn't a lot of unity in the Republican Party right now. Republicans have very little trust in their leaders compared to Democrats, and tomorrow we will have even more polling that confirms that. Polling that shows that Democrats perceive their leaders as effective at getting their candidates elected, whereas Republicans, at best, think their leadership is only about equally as effective as Democrats. And every time we've asked about wanting their leaders changed, Republicans overwhelmingly say yes. But what are your thoughts? If you've watched this far, thank you. We would really appreciate you subscribing to our channel. That way you'll see our video when it comes out later this week, showing some pretty surprising opinions among Republicans about the RNC, Ronna McDaniels, Harmeet Dillon, and especially Mike Lindell. Thanks for watching.